Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4 Noob to Expert with me and Scott. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, I see that down there you're fighting Ethiopia finally, after one day. I have no intel on that combat. Which is why, well, it's because we're not friends yet. We should work on that.
That works
And
for
we
me.
will. Well, we have to get you to win that war to actually do stuff here. So I guess we're gonna hit play here in a second and have that done. I'm gonna go down in speed a little bit because I still want to explain some stuff, but there's no reason why we can't have that go. So let's hit play. It's going 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's good. That's a good speed for now.
Yep.
You can also see your ships moving if you actually look at the
Yes.
seas. Okay, they are grouping up now. They should. We have to talk about that a little later because there is such a thing as, a port not having enough supply and stuff like that. But we get there. Alright, so last time we talked about all the buttons and all the different resources in the game and all that stuff. So what are we going to do today? One button we have briefly touched is the supply map mode. We're going to use that right now. So if I look at my supply map mode here, there's a couple of things that pop up. First of all, you have this gas can that says like 5 out of 100. That basically just tells me that this state, that's always a state here, well it's more than that, it's a supply region, so we have to go through that first actually. You see the green outline around these different areas, right?
Yes.
That's a supply region. If you click somewhere in there, you will see that two different areas are highlighted. You have a big area and a small area. Now the big green area, that's your supply area. The small outline is your state, and the smallest outline is your province. That's the 3 units the game works with here. So if you look at Italy, for example, you have Rome is a province, is in a state that covers like half of the width of your boot there.
Right.
Then you have another state next to it. Then you have another state to the right of it with Naples in it. These 3 together form one big supply area, right?
Yes.
Good. So for each of these areas, you have your supply stats. Now, how are those determined? Well, you can guess by the icons there. So what it tells me here is for the supply area which has Wilhelmshaven, Weser, Ems, and Hanover in it, I'm using 5 out of 100 supply that I can have here at maximum. And next to that, I see I have infrastructure and I have a naval base here. Now, these numbers basically just tell you how much supply you are getting delivered into this area. Now, if I go to my Polish front where I have my army, we can already see they're doing pretty good. It says for the area in the north, I have 11 out of 103, and for the area in the south, it says I have 7 out of 99. So I still have more than enough supply to supply these troops. Now, if I go over to Ostpreußen, the little pocket here, I have 7 out of 29. And if I hover over that, it says local naval base is limited to 15. So I can get 29 in here, but I can only get 15 supply in through the naval base. And I see that there's a sea route, a supply route going from Rostock over to Königsberg. That's where I get my supply, because I don't have any land connection here. So it needs to be sent by ship. Now those ships are your convoys that you're using. If I hover over the number of convoys on the very top, it says for trade and supply 28. Now I'm not using that many for trade, I know that, so this is definitely supply for these units, most of it. So how do I get more supply into an area if I need to? If I move around with my mouse here, you can already see that areas are turning, that areas that I'm highlighting are seeing a red arrow, which is always coming from the supply area of Berlin, of my capital. That's the same for every other country. So even if you play US of A and you hover over, I don't know, Seattle, you will still see that the arrow will come from Washington, because all supply is generated by your capital. So if I want to increase the supply I have down in Bavaria, this goes from my capital through this area here, Thüringen, Sachsen, down to actually... clicking all the wrong map modes here. Yeah, that happens. To Bavaria. So to get the maximum supply, I need to improve my, supply generation in all of those areas. to max. That will give me that. Currently it's not necessary because my troops are doing fine. I'm under capacity right now, but if I had like 10 times the amount of troops on the border, I would probably be at, let's say, 150 out of 103 supply, which means I need to increase. Now how do I do that? I can either go on the construction icon on the top, the little orange one, and just build more infrastructure in those areas. Or while I'm in this map mode, I can actually just click on the plus sign on the infrastructure icon next to the gas can. You see that, right?
Kind of losing in some units here down on the south, so
oh, you're busy.
That, sorry.
Right. Don't lose units. There's no reason to do so.
I'm getting my butt kicked really bad on the south east.
Yeah, on the southeast you probably shouldn't do much. Well, it's not much of a bother, really. What you could do, select all your troops you have in the north and just right-click on Addis Ababa once you have selected them. Just tell them to go.
Oh, they're almost there.
Alright. Once they're in there, tell them to go to the province next to it, if you still have to get that other victory point, and that should be it. They should lose right away. Alright, we're gonna go back to supplies once we actually start any big wars where that's necessary. Currently, Germany is really good on supplies, so is Italy usually, even France, all the major European nations are good on supply. If you're playing Russia, you will have low supply areas pretty much everywhere, but that's a different story. That's just how it works. So you can increase the situation with your roads and your ports here. Now, how is this different from actually going into construction? Well, I've already said there are different states right here. So this area around Berlin, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states that make up one supply area. If I click this button, this railroad icon, it will increase infrastructure in all 5 states. Whereas if I go into construction and say, okay, do infrastructure, I have to click on each of these states separately to do it. So that's a nice and quick way to just improve your situation without doing it manually. And again, you can go control-click to build on top of the queue. So if you're fighting a war and you really, really need supply because your units are losing their strength, that's how you do it. Now, this is all pretty theoretical because we don't have any war going, you don't see the effects, but we're gonna get there. It's just so you know where it is. Now, supply. What is supply? Well, there's one button we haven't touched on the top, which is logistics, the little yellow one. You see that, right?
Yes, I do.
Good. Let's pause the game here so we don't lose any more units.
Okay. Yes.
Or we get interrupted by a victory conference or anything like that. Okay, the yellow notebook, logistics. If you click on that,
on it.
You see your equipment you currently have.
Yes.
Yeah, there should be like artillery, infantry equipment, motorized support equipment, tanks, fighters, convoys, whatever.
Right.
There's 2 stats that are important, which are the numbers on the right-hand side. There's one that has a garage icon on top, and there's one that has these scales on top, right?
Yes.
So the scales is your balance. How much are you actually producing versus what you are losing? And that's calculated on a daily basis. So each time when the day rolls over at 2400, this will recalculate. That's why you usually get a slight lag at that stage, because most of the stuff is calculated then. How many convoys you're using for trade, how much resources you're actually importing due to trade, and all that stuff. So it says here for me, I'm currently producing plus 82 infantry equipment, surplus infantry equipment on a daily basis, and I have 2,400 in storage. So you should get something similar.
I have 66 and 186.
Mm-hmm. Any red numbers? Any yellow numbers?
I have red on my support equipment and red on my artillery.
Good. On the left or the right column?
Both.
Both. So that basically says you have divisions that are using artillery, but you don't have enough artillery pieces to field all those divisions with artillery, and you're not producing enough to make up for it.
Right.
So if you hover over the red number in the, well, total amount you don't have, so the right column.
Okay.
It will tell you at the bottom how many days it takes to make up for it, right? says well, for me, I only have surplus, so I can't really tell. But it says we currently have a surplus of 321 units of motorized equipment. From production, we're getting 321 units. That's good. If you have a negative value here, it would show you we have a deficit of so and so many units. To rectify that, so and so many days.
On average, we produce a deficit of minus 0.7 units of artillery per day.
Yep, that's the left column. And the right column?
And the right one is minus 10 units of artillery equipment stored from minus 10 units.
And below that?
We are currently, we're not currently producing artillery equipment.
See, so you're using those, but you're not replacing them.
122 for the support equipment.
Good. So support equipment you are producing, it tells you 122 days.
Right.
Until you're back to 0.
Yep.
Good. So you're not producing artillery, but you're using up artillery. So you should probably think about either producing artillery or changing your divisions so that they don't use artillery at all. And we're going to get to that once you've done your war with Ethiopia. Because I'm going to do something similar. Alright, so that logistics basically tells you that's the equipment, that's your supply that you need to get to your armies. That's the stuff you have or don't have. That's your one bottleneck. If you don't have it, you can't send it. The other bottleneck is your supply map mode, where you can see, do I have the infrastructure to send 100,000 guns to my armies every day? Or however many they need. That's your two things you need to know about supply or logistics in general to field your war effort. Good. I'm gonna hit play here again. I'm gonna speed up to 3 so you can win your war down there.
Okay.
Also fighting in the mountains, which is really bad for fighting.
They're mountaineers.
Yeah. Should work, yeah.
That's why it's green, because they're mountaineers, so...
Okay, let's go speed 4. Can we do speed 5? Oh, we can.
Yeah.
For a second there. And then it went down to speed 4 again because you were lagging behind. That's okay. Well, let's keep it on speed 4. Okay, you got the capital. Yeah, move to the right. And get the other point. And you got the one on top. That should actually do it. No, not yet. Always when when it's midnight is when stuff happens. So they capitulate at midnight. That wasn't enough, so get the other province as well. That one victory point that's left.
Come on. You guys...
Oh, you have a nice encirclement on top there. But we're going to talk about encirclements later.
Yeah, just go kill him. Go ahead.
That's
not
good.
Gonna listen.
Sounds good. Yeah, just... See? Done. Victory conference. Not gonna talk much about this. On the left-hand side, and the bottom where it says make demands, you have Ethiopia, right?
Yes.
There's 2 arrows. If you click on those, it will pop open. It will say take all states.
Clicked it.
And then click end turn and done.
End turn. Okay.
And done.
And done.
Very nice. Stop the game. Italy took 1 state. Ethiopia was annexed, and you should have a pop-up saying you've gotten a little bit of equipment there. Some infantry equipment, some... Okay, then they don't have anything to give you. That's good. Well, that territory is now yours. Happy days. Now you can take that army and send it home, if you wish, or you can leave it there. It doesn't really matter. If you want to send it home, just select the army, and then right-click on your other army that you've already stationed in Italy, and they will just join them and make their way up there. Currently don't need an army in Africa.
Select that, and then...
You have your generals at the bottom. You should have 2.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Your army at home and your army in Ethiopia. You click on the one, that's your army in Ethiopia. And then you right-click on the other one. And then it will say, do you want to join that army? Right?
Okay. It says all orders reassigned?
Yep.
Okay.
And now you should only have that one army.
Yeah.
Good. So these guys will now make their way home. They will just use they need to go to a port and sail home. That's what they do
so as soon
usually.
as you start it up, they'll start moving to the port and get going then. Right?
Probably, if that other army that you've assigned them to has orders. If they're
trading right now.
Yeah, that's not an order. Well, the others will now start training as well, because they're all training somehow. That always goes for the whole army. You can't selectively train. But if you don't have a front line set up or any of the other orders, they will do nothing. They will just sit there.
Okay, one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
What if they got the little skull on their helmets?
Yep.
Is that mean most of them's wiped out and there's still just a few left, or
Nope,
they
that's
don't
something
just keep
else.
going?
You can actually hover over that skull and it will tell you. Not necessarily on the actual map, but on the left-hand side when you have them selected,
Yes.
you will get that same icon.
Attrition plus 40%, mountain plus 40.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Chances of equipment loss, 24.1, reliability 90,
Mm-hmm.
and support equipment 1%, reliability 80.
And the important thing here is that it will probably at some stage tell you that the army is training, and when it's training, it always has, I think it's 6% attrition or something. Because training uses up equipment.
Right.
So usually all of them have that. You get these skulls in white and in red. You don't want to see red skulls anywhere, because that's just, we are not getting supply in this area.
Okay.
As long as it's just the white one, then yeah, they do have some attrition, but that will go away soon. If you have a red skull, it will not go away by itself. You have to do something.
Okay.
So for now,
We got
there's
all
really
whites.
nothing you need to do. You could set up a front line to, let's say, Austria for your main army. And that's it, just the front line. And then your troops from Ethiopia will actually start moving into Italy.
Okay, so I select the guys.
Yep, just
It
click
is.
on your leader in the very bottom. And then
Right.
say, okay, front line, Austria.
Offensive line.
And that's it. Don't need an offensive line, just need the front line. Because they will, once you have a front line, they will occupy that front line. That's how it works.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so that's supply done, and that's your first war done. How are you feeling as a winner?
Great. Yay.
Good. Awesome.
Missing equipment production. I
Yeah.
got a warning for that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that once we actually start, redesigning our armies a little bit.
Alrighty.
Okay, so I now have 98 political power, and I'm gonna do something stupid. Really quick. Wait. Justify war goal, Poland, somewhere. Yep, send. Thank you. Not to worry. I'm explaining that later. I just need a war goal against Poland. I'm German, I have to. No way around it.
It's in the blood. Leave me alone.
I'm actually gonna explain that right now. So what you can do, you can diplomatically converse with other nations. That's the whole setup of the game. Everything is done through diplomacy. You can't just go and say, hey, Poland, gotcha. You actually have to set that up. So what you do is you can click on the map on any of those countries. So let's say you click on Austria. That will open a fold-out in the lower left corner, right?
Yep.
And there's an Austrian flag in there.
State owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you click on that, you open the diplomacy screen to Austria.
Right.
That's one way to do it. In this diplomacy screen, you have the top section, which looks like your section, basically, with focus and all the other stuff in there.
Right.
There's some more stuff in there. For example, their national unity is displayed there as well. And below that, you have diplomacy or details. Anschluss! Yeah, we're gonna get there. Believe me. Need to have some requirements for that first. Diplomacy or details, right?
Right.
So details is, it's the details about their country. You see how many resources they have, what they're importing, what their laws and government setup is, how many divisions they have, how many naval forces they have, how many fighters they have, how many convoys, all the stuff. Right?
Yep.
Good. I'm not going to go into detail here. We're going to use that later when we actually wage some wars that are worth fighting. If you go back on diplomacy, you get this whole list of buttons.
So click the diplomacy button.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Declare war, justify war goal, all of those. The one I'm using currently is justify war goal. You see, declare war is grayed out. No war, if you hover over it, it says no war goal to justify a war declaration. Now there's different war goals. Some you can get through rivalries. So for example, Germany can get one against France, because of disputed territory around the Maginot Line. That's just a historical thing. You have to go through the focus tree to unlock that specific war goal. Once that's unlocked, you can just go in there and say, declare war, I already have my reason to go to war with you, and you just go. For everybody else, you have to justify a war goal. If you click on that, you get a pop-up saying, alright, what is your war goal going to be? Usually it just says conquer, because you have no other ambition to go there. There might be some others, again, through focus tree items that give you a reason. So for example, that territory has 90% German population. That is a focus tree item where you can just get a war goal other than conquer. It doesn't really matter, it just, you know, one costs more, other costs less. So you click on conquer and it says, okay, you can conquer Upper Austria, Lower Austria and Tyrol. And you just pick one of those. And then it will tell you, this war goal will cost you X amount of political power and last X amount of days. Right?
Yep.
Good. Don't do it.
No?
No.
Okay.
No, I get Austria for free, thank you. The only thing important about that is you need that political power, and you need to wait that amount of days until you can actually go to war. During that time, you will get a lot of pop-ups saying, you know, Benito Mussolini questions the sovereignty of Austria, or rise our brothers, the revolution is coming, when you're communist, or something like that. That just constantly reminds you that there's something going on. So it's not to worry about. If you actually have clicked that, and you are justifying, like I am doing against Poland, I can click on Poland, and under the diplomacy icon, it will tell me that there's a justification going on that's going to finish on the 26th of October, 1936. That's when we are going to war. Can I invite you to faction yet? Yes. Sent. You should have a pop-up, an alert, at the top of your screen saying I invited you to faction. Yes, thank you. We are now in a faction. So if you click the faction map mode, F9, you will now see that you are part of the Axis. So is Ethiopia, because it's yours.
Yep.
Good. You can see my units now, can't you?
Yes I can.
Great. Yours are blue, mine are green. For you, it should probably be the other way around. Although, I think Germany's always green, right? And Italy's always blue? I don't know.
Yours are blue.
Mine are blue, yours are green.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are in a faction. Faction members are blue. The same if you go on political map mode, F8. I am blue, you are green. For me, it's the other way around. Green is always your home territory, blue is whoever is in faction with you. Yep. Yellow is whoever doesn't like you, and red is who you are at war with. Okay, F1 to get back to your main map mode. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so that's set up. We are actually justifying against Poland. That's nice. Now I just need to get Austria out of the way so you can move into my territory. Because we are in a faction, you have access to all my territory. You can come here. If Austria lets you through. Otherwise you need to go through Gibraltar, and then you can land close to Denmark.
Checked. They won't let me.
Yeah.
I already checked. They said no. Not coming through here.
Yeah, I know. Alright, but that's it for this episode. We've had some days, you know, in February. Mid-February, end February almost. And we're justifying against Poland. Don't say we don't make any progress here. And now, since you've ended your war and have some army experience, and I'm gonna get some here relatively soon, we will talk about all the lovely army experience and what we can do with it, and why you don't have enough guns for your troops. But for those in the stream, you know how that works. Don't go anywhere, we'll continue. And for those watching the video, it still sucks to be you. No, it doesn't. You know, you're doing the right thing. You're watching the video, that's cool. That's it for this episode. Don't forget to justify a subscriber goal. Blitzkrieg the like button. Follow me on Twitter if you want to catch the next live stream and actually participate in chat. That would be nice for us, you know. Be part of it. I'm Scryptar, he's God, and you are dismissed.